Why should you learn prompt engineering? Well, here are a few things that convinced me to go full-time on it. First was that I saw that the number of AI papers being published every month is growing exponentially. So right now I'm spending one day every week just reading AI papers, and in 2 years it's going to have to be 2 days a week, and in another 2 years it's going to be 4 days a week, and then so on and so forth. Unless I get AI to read the papers for me, I'm not going to be able to keep up. And that is absolutely rapid progress. You don't normally see that in any field. So that was a really big sign to me that this thing is really taking off. The second thing was the release of Stable Diffusion, because first of all, I thought it was amazing that DALL-E could even generate images. I thought that was pretty special. But then while I was sat waiting for access, they released Stable Diffusion, and Stable Diffusion was open source. So not only was it possible, but it was free and runnable on my local computer. And that was wild. I really wanted to dive into the space a lot more after that, and you can see the adoption. It wasn't just me. But here are all of the most popular projects on GitHub, open source projects, and Stable Diffusion is vertical. Like, it almost looks like the y-axis. It's this blue line right here. It's the fastest growing project on GitHub in history. Pretty amazing. And we've had a number of projects launched since then that are growing even faster. This is another big sign that made me think there's something here that people are maybe underestimating. The next thing was this study I saw from GitHub on Copilot. And I started using Copilot, and it really revolutionized the way I was coding, because it's like autocomplete on steroids. And now I don't have to worry about looking up different syntax. I don't have to worry about all the kind of basic boilerplate code that I normally have to write or look up on Stack Overflow. Now it just happens for me, which is really cool. And what this says is basically out of 100 developers, they had roughly half and half use Copilot or not use Copilot. The developers that were using Copilot actually spent 55% less time and completed more than the developers who didn't use Copilot. And it's actually improved since then. So this is a pretty long time ago in AI terms, over a year ago. It's pretty amazing. The other thing was ChatGPT. This was a big moment. When ChatGPT was launched in November 2022, it exploded in usage. It was the quickest product ever to reach 1 million users. It happened over 4 or 5 days, which was insane, but actually then kept going, and it went past 100 million users. And that is faster than any other consumer product you can think of. Instagram, Spotify, Facebook, Netflix. There was something really big going on there. And when ChatGPT was launched, that was really when people started to pay me for services, because they were interested in using it too. They were interested in paying someone to train them in how to use it better, and also train their organization in how to use it better. And then even paying someone to act as a consultant on their prompts that they were using in production, either as templates in their work or different products that they were building on top of ChatGPT. The other big thing was that I realized that a lot of people were underestimating the results of ChatGPT in terms of productivity, because most of the early adopters were incredibly competent in their fields, and therefore they don't get that big of a boost from AI. And this study, what it shows with the Boston Consulting Group, is that the top skilled participants in a study that used AI only got a 17% boost in performance. The bottom half, in terms of skill, got a 43% boost from using AI. And so it actually leveled the playing field. It brought pretty much all of the lower skilled people up to the higher baseline. And that's really interesting, because it means that it is underhyped. If the vast majority of the world haven't used OpenAI yet, they haven't used ChatGPT, and they're the ones that are going to benefit the most, right? Not the top skilled people who are in Silicon Valley, but the rest of the world, the rest of us. It's going to be really wild in terms of productivity gains, and you're going to have to really race to catch up. The final thing was I put a blog post out there, and this is my own analytics for my website. I put one blog post on there on prompt engineering, and look at this. This is 25,000 hits. It's 50% of all of the views in the past 12 months for me. And that was really discouraging in some respects, because I've been posting and working really hard, like reading the textbooks from college, to learn econometrics and causal inference and all these different things. I was doing primary research to figure out K-factor benchmarks. I was explaining difficult topics like diminishing returns, and all of these posts took so long to write and were not as enjoyable as this one post on prompt engineering. And it got so much traction that I realized that there was something really big here. And not just that, but it was something that I could actually talk about. That was really what led to a lot of the opportunities I have today. O'Reilly read that blog post and asked me to do training. And then from that training, I turned into a book deal. So that book's coming out next year. We also decided to do the Udemy course based on the principles that I outlined in this blog post. And that's what you're doing right now. But that was really the final kicker for me, is I published a blog post and I saw a huge amount of traction. And I would say the lesson for you guys as to whether you want to get into AI or not, if you put your own experiments out there and they do get a lot of pickup and people are interested, that's a very good sign that you should dive deeper into that topic.